I'm life and business coach Samantha Sifring, and this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast, where you learn how to build a wildly successful business from home while raising kids. I am really pumped for this week's topic. It's about how much free value is the right amount. I get this question all the time. I talk to all of my clients about it, and I really wanted to share with you how I think about giving free content. So that's what I'm going to do today. I really think that the free content I put out there has been the secret to my success. Not so secret because all of you see the content that I put out, but I think it's played a huge role in where I am in my business and in how amazing my group program launch has been. I really felt solid about the webinars that I did. I planned them to be super valuable. And then these calls that I've been doing for all of the people who have applied, they have been absolutely unbelievable. I have had such a fun time with all of those conversations and have seen so many transformations already in all of these new clients. So I am truly looking forward to finishing the last few spots that I need to fill up in the last few calls to do that, and reporting to you sometime in the next couple weeks about how the group launch went. I would definitely love to share all of my lessons with you, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot to learn. All right, let's get into today's topic, because I get a lot of questions about how I'm able to show up consistently and deliver super valuable and quality content over and over in my business. And I think one of my greatest secrets to consistently great content is this: stop overthinking it. I see a lot of you who overthink the content you put out there. And when you put so much pressure on each piece of content to be great and to get you the results that you're looking for, aka clients, you actually prevent yourself from producing consistently. So today I'm going to be teaching you how to produce tons of amazing content and sign clients consistently without overthinking it. This one's going to be really, really good. This work is inspired by a concept from my coach, Stacey Bayman. If you're familiar with her, she is fantastic. She has this concept called the value bank. And when I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly how I think of putting value out there. But I think of it slightly differently than a bank. So I'm going to be talking about how I think about it today. I'm going to be showing you how to think and act differently when it comes to value so that you can stop overthinking and stressing and just be delivering content and signing clients over and over and over. I've really been digging back into the history of building my business lately and exploring a lot of my old stories about how I got where I am now, and really debunking some of that like hustle and struggle story that I've had. And I've landed on this. I think the number one thing that has created my success is abundance. And not necessarily in the way you think. What has worked has been an approach to my business and marketing that is rooted in abundance and giving. I actually don't believe that I can give too much. I think things like this: there's more where that came from, and the best way for them to know that I can help them is for me to help them. That is from Brooke Castillo. I love that thought from her. I've kept it with me ever since I heard it. And finally, it's all about finding the tipping point. First, I want to take a little time to talk about what I see out in the world when it comes to marketing and content. A handful of things: entitlement, stinginess, comparison and imposter syndrome, and a pressure to be perfect. So first, let's talk about entitlement. This is where you put some value out into the world and then get a little bit of an attitude that the world isn't fawning over your genius. You get this idea that it shouldn't have to be hard or take this much work. You shouldn't have to talk to so many people, give them so much value, and still not have made the money that you want to make. Look, I've been there. When I was building momentum at the beginning of my business, I spent countless hours a week networking, being valuable and helpful to people, inviting them to calls and DM conversations with me, and very few of them became clients. But I loved it. I could see that it was working and that I was creating a name for myself. I was really owning who I wanted to be and who I thought I was and acting that way. I was building a reputation and network, growing my Facebook group, and slowly but steadily getting people interested in working with me. The momentum building phase of your business goes much faster when you aren't feeling entitled to more than you are getting, and you remember to stay humble and really generous. It's kind of crazy, like being patient makes it go faster, but that is really how it works. The next thing I see, stinginess. Okay, this one is actually straight up taught by many business experts out there, but I have found that the opposite is actually what gets clients. People will say things like, "That's too good to put out for free. You should charge $7 and make it an ebook." I totally disagree with this. I think any digital product that's worth $7 should just be free. Why not just make it free, right? I personally am a big fan of leaving a little money on the table in favor of building up a frenzy in your audience to give you big money, especially at the beginning when you have little to no audience. Like, really think about selling a $7 product when you don't have an audience and you do all of this work to get a yes, and then it's $7. That is so discouraging. I used to have a $14 course, and the first time somebody bought it, I was so excited, and then I was like, oh my gosh, $14? Seriously? And she never bought anything else from me again. And if I would have waited, right, if I would have maybe even delivered that course for free or continued to just warm her up as a potential client, maybe she would have worked with me one-on-one. My goal is always to give way too much money for free. And I believe that the more I give away and over deliver for free, the more I make. It started off as like a belief, like I'm going to test this belief, I'm going to see if it's true, and it has completely come true for me. A major focus for me in the past 6 months has been giving tons of value. Like, really thinking about how much can I possibly give? How can I give more? I've spent a lot of time brainstorming how I could do that and then executing on all of those ideas. And in the past 6 months, I've made $225,000 in cash and sold even more than that between my waitlist and payment plans for my group program. You'll never be able to convince me that being abundant and generous with the value you deliver in your content is a bad idea. Next, Comparison and imposter syndrome. I see this one all the time with my clients. You see what other people are doing, and it completely shuts you down because you compare yourself to them and you think you don't measure up. You're like, who am I to say this? You think all the good things have already been said and other people are saying it better than you. Who are you to put your opinions and content out there? I just Googled this week, and there are 7.8 billion people on Earth. I'm pretty sure your competitors can't work with all of them. But seriously, fixating on why you aren't good enough will make your brain only focus on where you aren't good enough. You will completely miss what's unique about you. You'll lose out on seeing the impact you could have with the people who would resonate with your message. You think the business coaching industry wasn't saturated when I joined it? Of course it was. There were lots of other business coaches, for moms even. Like, that wasn't even unique. I had to work to stand out and to build my own following, and I did it by focusing on my value, not my lack of value. And finally, when you put a lot of pressure on one thing, one blog post, one Facebook Live, one comment in a Facebook group, to be giving you a return on your investment, it's kind of like you planted seeds in your garden, and as soon as you got done, you immediately dug them up to see if they're growing yet. It's ridiculous. And it's such an easy trap to fall into and then feel so discouraged when you give some value out into the world and don't immediately see it come back to you in the form of clients. So just be aware, your brain is going to want to do that. But today, I'm going to be introducing a concept to you that has really helped my clients and myself to be more generous and abundant with the value we bring to the world and spend less time stressing about the content we create. The concept is the value scale. So I want you to picture this, like a set of scales, the old-timey ones where you put something on both sides and see which thing is heavier. Every person in the world who could be your client has a set of scales for you. One side is too higher, and the other side is not too higher. Each person has a different amount of weight on not to higher. For some, it's a feather. It won't take much time for them to hire you. And for others, it's a ton of bricks. You could give everything you had and more, and there's still probably a no. Most people are somewhere in the middle, but you don't know who is who. So I want you to think about everybody out there that could potentially be your client has this scale. So everybody you're networking with, everybody in other Facebook groups, everybody in your group or following you on Instagram or on your email list, they all have a set of scales for you and a certain amount of weight on not to hire. When you approach your marketing and your content and even your networking conversations with the value scale in mind, each time you bring value to that person, you're adding a little more weight on the too higher side. This can happen in so many ways. Them watching a Facebook Live or listening to a podcast episode, reading a post or an email from you, a personal conversation they've had with you, or even a comment you left on someone else's question in a Facebook group that they read. One of my clients found me that way before my audience was very big at all. She just saw how I was showing up in a group. She really liked the comment. So she reached out to work with me. And for a long time, I had no idea how she even found me. And when I asked, I couldn't believe it. I always thought for sure, yeah, people are reading, people are watching what I'm doing. That's great. But I had never really put it together yet that the comments that I made weren't just for the person that I was responding to, they were for everybody else who was reading. The power of this concept is that each individual comment, post, and piece of content doesn't carry much weight on its own. Maybe for the people with a feather on their not to hire scale. But for everyone else, it's the cumulative effect of all of the value that you put out there. I love thinking about it this way because I think it really motivates you to continue to deliver until you're getting the results you want, and then to keep going to get more and more results. It doesn't have you putting posts out there and then thinking it's not working, that wasn't valuable, nobody liked that. It actually has you thinking, great, I put some value out, I'm going to put some more value out. It keeps you very focused on, like I said, that cumulative effect of all of the value that you put out. I love just imagining like piles and piles of value on everybody's scale, and just like it's overflowing, it's tipping the scale in my direction. This is a mental image that always inspires me to show up and give more and more, and not just do it from a place of checking it off my list, but really being focused on impacting the other people who are reading it. And something that's really served me that has gone along with this concept is something that my coach said when I first started working with her in her mastermind. What she said was, the impact of your value is none of your business. So this really keeps you focused on piling on more and more value, continuing to deliver more and more value, and not worrying about how it's returning back to you, just knowing, give enough and it will. I think that thinking about the value scale really keeps the guesswork and confusion out of your marketing and the content that you're putting out, because it's all about continuing to deliver, not about achieving perfection before you put anything out there, like a lot of us can fall into. There are only two things to focus on when you're using the value scale concept to get clients. If you are a hell yes to this concept, like you're hearing this episode and you're like, this is amazing, mind blown, yes, and you feel like you're already doing it, but you haven't been seeing results from it, it's because of one of two things. First, not enough value. You really need to focus on the value you are bringing, both quality and quantity. So spend time thinking about how you can increase your value, what more you can bring to your ideal clients. Something that I do to really amp up my value for my free Facebook community is I think that it's my goal to make that group more valuable than most people's paid courses. So a transformational brainstorming session about value and thinking about my group and how I could actually make it more valuable than people's paid courses brought me to this idea of using the vault that I have now as a freebie. I used to have this membership program, and all the trainings and worksheets and all of that were in there were just kind of sitting, collecting dust in the cloud, and were totally unused. And one day when I was doing this brainstorming about value, I came up with this crazy idea. I was like, what if I used that vault of trainings as a free bonus for my audience? Initially, I was like, is that too crazy? Is that too much? But I decided to do it, and immediately I was able to bring more value to everybody in my group. My philosophy is that there's not a secret sauce that you don't get until you work with me. My secret sauce is not a secret. You could use my free content like a course and go get results with it. People actually have. Obviously, there are even more results when you work with me, but my best clients have already gotten a transformation from my free content and are eager for more. I always say this quote from one of my mentors, Brooke Castillo, that the best way for people to know that I can help them is for me to help them. And that is totally how I think of all of the content that I put out for free. Second, this other reason that you might not be getting results if you are using the value scale is that not enough eyes and ears are seeing it and hearing it. You have to be massively visible to your ideal clients. Now, in my business, I pretty much only deliver value to my own audience unless I've been asked to be a guest on a podcast or a guest instructor in a program or something like that. I've left almost all the other Facebook groups that I used to network in for business. But when I first started, I was massively visible in other Facebook groups first because I didn't have much of an audience at all. Networking in Facebook groups really worked well for me in my business, and it's something that a lot of people try because it's really easy to do when we're home with kids. But let me share this. Effective networking in Facebook groups does not look like scrolling for hours and dropping a couple comments here and there. My most successful clients have set goals like tell 3 people per day what I do and how I could help them, or schedule 1 discovery call per day, not network on Facebook for 30 minutes a day. Specific and measurable benchmarks that are focused on results instead of actions get you taking the right actions to make those results happen, which will mean getting your value in front of lots of eyes and ears. Think about this. I've done close to 300 consult calls at this point. I made many more than 300 offers for consults. Sometimes I see some of you being like, people keep saying no. I was told no thanks to my consult offer many more times than I was told yes. That means over 1,000 offers, probably thousands of offers between direct one-on-one offers, indirect offers, and Facebook Lives and emails and more. I really want you to remember that when you're in a little bit of the pity party feeling of it's not working, that the same thing happened to me and I kept going, and that's why I am where I am. I kept focusing on delivering so much value and really showing up consistently. So keep that in mind. Don't compare where my business is now to where you are now. This is why I share about where my business was back then, because I want you to compare your level of activity to mine. And it will be really clear on why I got here and why I got different results. And I want that for you too. My body of work, the value that I've put out in the world over the past few years is so large at this point that my value now works for me. People can binge my podcast and decide to work with me just from that, or go into my Facebook group and watch my old lives and read my posts and go into the vault of resources and decide to work with me without ever talking to me. It's amazing. People come on consults with me and they quote me to me. It's so fun. It really shows how I have built up so much value for people to be able to go and be helped by, even if I'm sleeping. It's the best. What's really fun is that I can tell when someone's scale is activated now and when they're starting to put more and more value on the too higher side. They start loving and liking all my posts and engaging with me more and more. And before I know it, they fill out the application to work with me and I see their name and I'm like, yep, I knew she was coming soon. It's because of the work that I did to build it up over the course of a couple years, and that built momentum. So if you're in the momentum building phase right now, I really encourage you to be inspired by this and to use this to light a fire in you and get to work. My challenge for you is this: how can you bring more value to more people this week? And can you keep doing that week after week until you've given enough to start tipping all the scales in your favor? If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me over in my program, Mama to CEO. There's you, and there's the consistent income you want to make in your business, and I help you remove everything standing in between. It's lifetime access for mastering your marketing, sales, time, and everything else you need to have the business and life you really want. Whether it's making your first 1,000 or 100,000, I can help you do it. To join, go to mamatoceo.com, mamatoceo.com.